Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the laundry room. This is your host, Pete Wall, and this is Pillar to Post, bringing you your live, raw reports. Now, before we get into anything, yes, I am here. I am live. We're going to keep on using live stream because I want to make sure my shit is together for a change. Before we move on any further, let me give a shout out to today's sponsor. And today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/pillar to post. Now they have over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Now, that's taken care of. You guys know what to do. Take advantage of that deal because it doesn't just help me. You get something out of it as well as it helps my sponsors get the word out of their business. And what better way to do that if you want to read and you don't have time, use an audio book. Like I said, today is May 22nd, 2017, and tonight was Monday Night Raw. And usually I'd be able to shit all over the show. And I know there's a lot of people out there that'll shit on it just for the sake of getting news and getting viewers. Me, on the other hand, I stayed awake through this show. I stayed clear-minded. I was able to watch and enjoy most of the show. Now, it wasn't one of their best shows. It wasn't one of, an all-star show. But we had a lot in Raw tonight. And considering what we've seen in the last few weeks, this show really brought a little bit more to what we usually see. Now, before we get on more with it, I want to tell everyone you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/pillar to post 77, Twitter at pillar to post 77 as well, and patreon.com/pillar to post. And you can also find me on vidme it's actually vid.me/pillar2 post. It's all right there on the screen in front of you. Make sure you check me out. Become a follower on Twitter. Become a follower on VidMe. Subscribe to my Patreon. You can pledge as low as $1 a month. Now, if you pledge higher, there are prizes there for you, gifts that I would give you for becoming a pledge. So take advantage of it. Help my channel grow. And like I said, tonight wasn't too bad. Now, there was some issues I have. If you're going to use tag teams, if you want to use tag teams, please use the tag team correctly. I'm being told I'm getting encoder overload, but that's going away pretty quickly as well. But like I said, if you want to use tag teams, use them correctly. I'm a guy that enjoys tag team matches. And when I see tag teams being misused, as in the Hardy Boys versus Sheamus and Cesaro tonight, that was wrong. Okay? It should not have been a singles match. They could have had a tag team match. It didn't need to be against each other. But there could have been a legitimate tag team. That I would have enjoyed a hell of a lot more than seeing Matt Hardy versus Sheamus, and last week seeing Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro. Come on, give me a break, people. You guys have tag teams for a fucking reason. Please, start using them correctly. Because, frankly, at this point, you're wasting a whole lot of fucking talent. Now, I didn't really let anyone know that I'd be doing a live show tonight, so I would thank the one person watching right now. And I also want to give a shout out to someone that he's a fan of the show. I don't know too much about him, but I want to give Billy a shout out. Billy, if you're watching, I thank you very much for the compliment last week. Red Rainer gave me the message that you sent him. I thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. And, it just makes me feel good that someone's going to compliment me the way you did. So I appreciate it. And I hope you continue to watch. I hope this live stream continues to be working as well as it has been the last couple of days. So that way I don't have more people being turned away from my show. Now, we started off Raw tonight with Bray Wyatt coming out. I was a little bit surprised, but I do love a good Bray Wyatt promo. And this guy delivers every time he opens his mouth. He makes sure that people are captivated by what he's saying. He makes sure that people are going to stay interested and focused on his words. So, love seeing that promo tonight. Cannot take anything away from the man. I'm going to talk. I'm going to give you my review first before I go into what all went down tonight. Now, the women's match. Maybe 3-4 minutes long. Total garbage. We could have seen a hell of a lot more. Could have seen it, and it was just suddenly over. Just bang, done. We're out and done. Now, Mickie James did taste the sting of a kendo stick tonight, and we did see Bayley come down to rescue her from any harm. But if that's all you're going to give us for the women's division on a Monday Night Raw, come on, give me a break. I did like seeing Elias Sampson debut. Finally, we got to see Elias Sampson debut. The Drifter finally made his way out to the ring tonight. Got booed like a motherfucker for trying to sing, but all in all, he made a good appearance. I enjoyed it. I stayed focused. I wanted to see what he was capable of doing in that ring, and it looked pretty damn good. I wish I could have seen him go against someone else besides Dean Ambrose, but it was what it was. The Cruiserweight match. Another garbage match. Another 3-minute match for the Cruiserweights. I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of Akira Tozawa. Not a fan. It annoys me when he starts screaming. I can't remember who said it was chanting. That's not chanting. That is acting like a fool. Okay? Give me a break. Now, like I said, we opened the show with Bray Wyatt tonight. He had a lot to say, and I do apologize for the background noise. It is a train going through my backyard. So we had the Fireflies out instantaneously tonight because the lights went out, and out came Bray Wyatt. Now, during his entrance, they showed footage of last week's Raw when Samoa Joe attacked Seth Rollins during his match against Bray Wyatt. Wyatt tells the crowd to stand up to rejoice for the one true Savior. And that is Bray Wyatt. The Beast lives among them. He's the reason their children cannot sleep at night. It's the voice in the back of your head that causes you to run. Wyatt says he will rip open the chest of the Beast and feast on his black heart, and the Beast will die at his hands. At Extreme Rules, 4 men will suffer. Bray Wyatt will begin his brilliant crusade to slay the Beast once and for all. Wyatt can protect them. Wyatt says he sacrificed Seth Rollins. As for Samoa Joe, he sacrificed him as well. In his world, there are no friends. There are only followers. If you don't believe him, ask Finn Balor. Wyatt says everyone tries to live vicariously through Balor, but by the end, even the Beast will see the truth. Only Bray Wyatt can slay the Beast. Then there's Roman Reigns, who claims the ring is his yard. I'm going to take a drink before I go completely parched. Then there's Reigns, who claims the ring is his yard. Bray has a question for Reigns. What does one silly little yard mean to a man that owns the world? This is his world, people. And obviously, that brought the attention of Roman Reigns, who quickly made his way out to the ring. And the fans booed him, as usual, because, you know, it's Roman Reigns. Who wants that shoved down our throat any further? And Reigns says if Wyatt is going to run his mouth in his yard, he might as well do it to his face. And he starts walking to the ring. Wyatt laughs and calls him an old friend. Wyatt says Reigns' anger gets the best of him every time. Wyatt says he is the truth and is the only one that can beat Brock Lesnar. Reigns says that won't happen because at Extreme Rules, he'll beat 4 guys, including Wyatt. Then he'll move on and beat Brock Lesnar. That's the truth. Reigns isn't worried about Extreme Rules. The only thing on his mind is how he'll get Wyatt's ass out of his ring. And of course that brought out Kurt Angle. Going to have an impromptu match right at the start of the match. As usual, you know, Kurt Angle came out to the "You Suck" chants. People love him, you know, and they don't mean it any maliciousness towards him when they say "You suck." It is the way they show him the respect, because he is known for the "You Suck" chant. Now, Angle says that Fatal 5-Way match at Extreme Rules could be the most important match of the new era. They may be the 2 odds-on favorite. Angle doesn't want to find out who has momentum going into the match next week or later tonight. Reigns will face Wyatt right now. So, went into an impromptu match right off the hop of the show. Now, I really don't mind Reigns coming out at the top of the show. I don't know. It's always the same thing with him. It is the same promo. He kind of reminds me a lot when he's cutting a promo like Randy Orton. You know it's going to be the same shit coming out of his mouth. It's all about his yard. It's all about, putting down The Undertaker. He put the dead man down. So obviously he's the choice to put Brock Lesnar down. I'm tired of hearing it. We know you beat The Undertaker. We weren't happy to see it, but it was what it was. We don't need to be reminded of it every single fucking week. It's Reigns. You know, what's he going to really say? He doesn't really have that much charisma on the mic. Kind of like me. I don't have that much charisma on the mic, but I do the best I can. I try and deliver you as informative of a show as I can. Now, the match itself, I don't know. The bell rings and Roman Reigns begins with a headlock, of course. Bray breaks free and grabs Reigns for a quick Sister Abigail, but Roman escapes and hits a big boot that sends Wyatt out of the ring. A stiff shot outside the ring sees the action return to the inside. Now Bray kicks Roman as he re-enters the ring, then catches the big dog with a quick Uranagi slam. Roman gets Bray in the corner and lands several clotheslines before he bounces off the ropes, only to be sent crashing to the mat as Bray hits a body tackle. Suddenly Samoa Joe's music comes out of nowhere, and Bray Wyatt's in the corner, basically saying, "Hey, that's enough, don't touch me." He locks in the Coquina Clutch on Roman Reigns, and the referee calls for the disqualification. So, your winner of the opening match is Roman Reigns via disqualification. It was all to set up for the main event tonight. And I'm going to say the main event wasn't that bad. I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Now, Bray Wyatt attempts to team with Roman, but suddenly finds himself in a Coquina clutch as well. Excuse me, I'm kind of spitting that out wrong. Bray Wyatt goes on the attack with Roman Reigns, and suddenly finds himself in the Coquina clutch. Seth Rollins storms to the ring and knocks Joe flying out of it, and Roman regains composure, hits Bray Wyatt with a Superman punch as Wyatt's going for an attack on Rollins. And we are left with the two former Shield members standing tall at the end of this whole ordeal. We get told that later on tonight, Finn Balor will take on his former Bullet Club compadres, Carl Anderson. And when I say compadres, I mean when you have one of his former Bullet Club members, you have the other, and that is Luke Gallows. Also get told Matt Hardy will face Sheamus, with the winner choosing the stipulation for their Extreme Rules match coming in 2 weeks. When we return, we got Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns arguing backstage. Kurt Angle appears and calms them down, then books Reigns and Rollins versus Joe and Wyatt for later tonight. Rollins and Reigns walk off, but the Drifter walks up playing his guitar, and Angle books him to face Dean Ambrose. Samson keeps playing his guitar as Angle walks away, and that's the end of that segment. Now back in the arena, Akira Tozawa makes his way out to the ring. Brian Kendrick is standing backstage watching on the monitor, and this is what pissed me off about this match. They care so little about their fucking cruiserweights that they constantly, in those like 3, maybe 4 minutes, have to constantly go backstage and ask Brian Kendrick questions while there's a match in progress. Now, I know there's this street fight coming up between these two on 205 Live, but seriously, do we fucking need to have a match interrupted from a guy that has absolutely no kind of character? What you see is what you get with Brian Kendrick. There is no change. I have seen him play the hippie the hippie character in TNA. I have seen him play that same hippie character on WWE television. And you look at what he's doing now, and it's exactly the fucking same. He talks the same. There's no emotion to him. And yet we have to have a match interrupted. Now, albeit it wasn't the greatest match, but it's a match nonetheless. So, cut it the fuck out. Stick to what's going on in the ring. Interview some fucking prick later on after the match. We don't want to see that during our wrestling match. At least I don't. If anyone else thought it was interesting, please speak up. Now, like I said, the Akira Tozawa match. He went up against Arya Daivari. A very quick match, like I said. Nothing much happened here. Now, Tozawa takes control right away and unloads with a flurry of strikes to score a 2 count right off the hop. He gets a grunt chant going right before Daivari turns him inside out with a clothesline. Kendrick insults Tozawa from backstage as he hits a Hurricane Rana. He drops Daivari with a side suplex before climbing to the top rope for a huge senton to score the victory. Like I said, very quick match. Nothing much happened here. I didn't see why it was needed. Pointless. After the match, Kendrick says he is impressed, but he promises to destroy Tozawa in their street fight tomorrow on 205 Live, which you can read about tomorrow, or hear about tomorrow, if I decide to cover 205 Live, which is more than likely not gonna fucking happen. We return to see Sasha Banks walking backstage. She starts to be interviewed by Charlie Caruso and is in the midst of telling us how she will be glad to get rid of Fox after winning tonight, when she's interrupted by Foxy herself and Noam Dar. Dar and Foxy mock Sasha for being alone, and Sasha walks away after saying she will win tonight. Up next, we get the debut of Eli Sampson versus Dean Ambrose. But before we get into this, I want to say how much of a fucking coward. Now, when it comes to women, a woman got in my face, I wouldn't do nothing physically, but I would make sure not to push your luck. Okay? Now, this is sports entertainment. This is how I'm going here. I'm not talking in real life because I would never be that way with a real woman. But in sports entertainment, it just doesn't work for the guy. He's not intimidating. He's not an imposing figure. Now I could see a guy like Roman Reigns, the Drifter, any big guy on the roster just looking down on her and wouldn't have to say a word. She'd know to shut her fucking mouth. But this guy literally flinches and backs away like a coward. And we're supposed to make him believe that he's a wrestler. He's supposed to be some imposing figure. Nah, not me. Not me at all. So up next we got the debut of the Drifter. And the Drifter is sitting in the dark under spotlight. And he begins to sing. Total crap. I kind of was hoping that he'd kind of drop the whole guitar playing, whole singing his way, it's not good. It's like someone strangled, someone was strangling Johnny Cash while he was, trying to sing. That's how bad it is. Now Dean interrupts him with his entrance, and The Miz and Maurice are shown on the commentary. So right away that The Miz is going to interfere in this match. It is a must when it comes to The Miz. He never keeps his nose out of anything. Now The Miz and Maurice are on commentary for this match. They lock Dean Ambrose and Elias Sampson lock up, and Sampson applies a side headlock. Ambrose tries to whip him off, but Sampson holds on. Ambrose elbows out and whips him off. Ambrose takes him down with two very poor-looking arm drags, followed by an arm bar. Sampson fights up and pulls Ambrose off the ropes. Ambrose fights back and hits the ropes, but Sampson takes him down with a wicked back elbow. Now Sampson punches him down in the corner before going outside the ring, and Sampson bounces his head off the apron and hits a running knee to the head. We come back from commercial and we see Ambrose trapped in a modified chin lock. Now Ambrose tries to fight out of it, but Sampson keeps him grounded. Ambrose finally fights out, but Sampson quickly clotheslines him back down to the mat for another 2 count. Sampson applies an armbar, but Ambrose quickly fights out of it, and Ambrose elbows him back and boots him in the face. Now Ambrose counters a right hand into a swinging neckbreaker, and Ambrose punches and kicks his away at him before ducking a clothesline and hitting a pair of running forearms. Ambrose then takes him down with a wild clothesline and goes to the top rope and leaps, but Sampson catches him in midair with a jumping high knee. It looked impressive. I loved it. Shows some of the talent that Elias Sampson has in that ring. Now Sampson goes for the cover, but Ambrose counters into a crucifix pin of his own for a near fall. Back on his feet, Sampson punches, but Ambrose rebounds with a lunatic lariat, and The Miz gets off commentary and quickly runs down to the ringside, climbs into the ring, and looks at Ambrose, looks at Sampson, and then decides, fuck Ambrose. He attacks Sampson, costs Ambrose the victory, and Elias Sampson is your winner via a disqualification. Now after the match, Dean Ambrose is shown he's furious, and he chases The Miz around the ring. Ambrose soon catches him, but Sampson attacks him from behind. Sampson then lays him out with his finisher. It's called Lights Out. Now at Extreme Rules, if Ambrose gets disqualified, he will lose the Intercontinental title. That is the whole purpose of what The Miz is doing. This is all building up to their match coming up at Extreme Rules in 2 weeks. I do like what I'm seeing. I do apologize if there is any slight freezing going on with the feed. I did notice it, so I do apologize. I do want to quickly say hi to everyone who is watching, and if there isn't many watching, you know what? I'm having fun. Now, my take on this match. Like I said, it's all about Extreme Rules. It had nothing to do with Elias Sampson's debut. He was used as a catalyst to basically bring out the anger in Dean Ambrose, so by the time him and The Miz meet at Extreme Rules, Dean Ambrose is going to make a mistake and cost himself that world title, or the Intercontinental title. That is the whole purpose of this match tonight. There was no other reason for it. I'm glad that Elias Sampson finally debuted. Maybe we start to see more of him in that ring. I want to see more of him because, to me, he's kind of got that. He's kind of got that look that screams Macho Man Randy Savage. And I'm not talking back when he was in WWE. I'm talking Randy Savage when he was already out of WCW as well. He's got the longer beard. He's bigger, more into bodybuilding. That's kind of the look that Elias Sampson has. I do want to see more out of him. I'm hoping that his character does evolve. I don't want to keep on seeing him strumming a guitar. It's just not my thing. But everyone has to have a character, and this is what he is for now. Now, we get told that up next, it's Finn Balor that will take on Carl Anderson. But just before the commercial, we cut to Big Cass walking fiercely backstage with the referee asking about something that happened. The camera pans over to see Enzo Amore down on the ground, unconscious. Now, back from commercial, we're back to see Enzo being attended to by doctors along with Big Cass and Kurt Angle. And he says he doesn't know who attacked him, and Cass tells Angle he had better find out before he does. Now, Finn Balor makes his way out to the ring. We all know it's going to be a pretty good match when Finn Balor's involved. And he says the Balor Club are in the building tonight, and the Grand Rapids fans cheer him, obviously. Finn says they have their hands full because he has to beat 4 other guys in a fatal 5-way. Tonight, though, Carl Anderson stands in his way, but he is still focused. Now, surprisingly, I was pleasantly surprised because I'm a big fan of good promos. And you want good promos, you watch Bray Wyatt, you watch the next guy, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is magic on the microphone. Now, he's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm not going to say everyone should love the way he talks. I'm just saying, for me, when it comes to promos, Paul Heyman is one of the top guys. The top guy, I've always believed, was guys like Dusty Rhodes, who could look at the fans, involve the fans in his promos, and touch them in a way that was more real than what they were expecting would be. If you're ever curious about a good Dusty Rhodes promo, make sure you check out Hard Times. That is the ultimate promo of any era. Now, Paul Heyman comes to the ring and introduces himself. He says he might be out here tonight to scout potential victims for Brock Lesnar. He says surely Finn heard Bray talk about a WWE without Bray Wyatt earlier tonight, but Brock Lesnar will use Bray as a victim should he actually win that fatal 5-way. Then there's Seth freaking Rollins, who wants to compete in the fatal 5-way and then win the Universal Championship. But Brock freaking Lesnar will make him a victim. He will also make Samoa Joe his victim. Then there's Roman Reigns, the man who laid the dead man down. Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate the coffee. I did need it.
I figured because you're...
Excuse me for that little interruption. And like I said, then there's Roman Reigns, the man who laid the dead man down. Heyman says that if Reigns does win the Fatal 5-Way at Extreme Rules, he will no longer be the big dog, the guy. He will simply be known as Brock Lesnar's victim. I would have gone Brock Lesnar's bitch, but, Paul Heyman's trying to be PG about it, I guess. Heyman finally enters the ring, and Balor allows him to enter. Heyman says he respectfully submits that Balor is nobody's victim, and he knows he has been painted as the underdog in this match. But Balor is no underdog, and he sees Finn coming. Heyman quotes Finn and says, "If you can believe it, you can achieve it." Heyman says he believes that Finn Balor is the most talented man on the WWE roster, and he will take Extreme to the other 4 guys in the Fatal 5-Way match. He also knows that Finn believes that Brock Lesnar is just like any other competitor, and he can beat him. And that's why he came here tonight, because he is more intrigued by Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor than any other match. On behalf of Brock Lesnar, good luck at Extreme Rules. Now, Finn Balor says he is glad Paul is here, and he wishes Brock Lesnar was out here as well. Surprise, surprise. Obviously, the Universal title is sitting in Brock's home collecting dust. That's where the Universal title, in my opinion, actually belongs. We need something like a real title here. Now, Balor says to tell Lesnar that at Extreme Rules, he will win that Fatal 5-Way. He will go on to face him for the championship that he never lost, and tell him that Finn Balor will beat Brock Lesnar. And that's when Carl Anderson makes his entrance. Like I said, you want a good promo, you call it Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is the guy to give you a good promo. My thoughts, though, on this promo, I felt like I needed a bath after Heyman was done complimenting Balor. I'm pretty sure Finn Balor felt the same way. It was getting a little bit too much. He was really laying it on. He was trying to build up Finn Balor's confidence. And I think an overconfident wrestler is better to face than one that isn't really confident in himself at all. Overconfidence can make mistakes in anything. And especially when it comes to wrestling, the more confidence you have, especially if you're overestimating your opponents, you make big mistakes. And I think that's what Paul Heyman was looking to do with his promo tonight. He was looking to build up Finn Balor's confidence to the point where he was overconfident and make those big mistakes in the Fatal 5-Way. Now, do I want to see Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar? No. It doesn't look believable. Now, I go off on about Brock Lesnar all the time. Brock Lesnar doesn't wrestle. He sits on his ass at home collecting a paycheck while the Universal title degrades, collects dust, and has become meaningless to everyone and everything that is Monday Night Raw. Now, you can hate me for saying it or not, but if I want to book a match, I'm not going to pick the smallest guy on the roster to fight the most experienced fighter. Now, being the most experienced fighter does not make it that you are undefeatable even by smaller guys. I am a big guy myself. I have fought a lot of smaller guys in my bad past. Now, smaller guys are surprising. They can surprise you with their speed. But in the end, a guy like Brock Lesnar gets a hold of you, you're done. And that's the way I always like to fight. If I can get a hold of that guy, he's done on the spot. I'm making damn sure of it. Either my fist is going to end it, or I'm going to choke you out while I'm laying my big paws into you. And Brock Lesnar is the same type of guy. He's going to ground you, and he's going to wail on you until you can't move anymore. Now, you can't use the same fighting strategies when it comes to wrestling. This isn't a fight. This is wrestling entertainment. And obviously, Brock Lesnar forgot to wrestle because all he knows how to do is suplexes these days, along with some punches and some knees. So, to me, it wouldn't be a match that would work with Finn Balor. He is a high flyer. He is a man of speed. I don't want to see him going against Brock Lesnar. I want to see him face Roman Reigns again, because that was actually a great match between him and Roman Reigns. So, I don't care who wins it. Just Finn Balor does not look like the obvious choice for that match. Now, up next, like I said, was Finn Balor versus Carl Anderson. You had Luke Gallows in Carl Anderson's corner, as per usual. Balor quickly gains the advantage over Anderson and knees away at Anderson. Balor knees away at him and kicks him in the midsection. Luke Gallows gets on the apron to distract him, and Anderson elbows and clotheslines Balor down. Anderson rips at his face, and Gallows gets a cheap shot in. Now Anderson punches away at Balor for a 2 count, and Anderson applies a chin lock. Now Balor tries to fight out, but Anderson quickly grounds him once again. Balor tries to fight up again, but Anderson hits him with a backbreaker for another 2 count. Anderson goes back to the chin lock, but Balor gets out, and Anderson elbows him, but Balor comes back with an overhead kick. Almost like a Pele, but not quite. Now Anderson charges with a boot, or Anderson charges into a boot, and Balor forearms him down twice before hitting a low drop kick to the head. Balor chops him into the corner, sends him to the opposite corner, and chops once again. Anderson reverses a whip, but Balor slingshots over him. And Anderson boots him and goes to the second rope, but Balor kicks him off to the floor. Better take a drink. Balor baseball slides Gallows and viciously kicks him in the face. Now, we've all seen that kick that he does. He's on the apron and he just bootlaces the motherfucker across the face. Love it every time. Balor then kicks Anderson back before going to the top rope, but Anderson gets to his feet and hits a spinebuster for a near fall. Anderson cannot believe he couldn't keep him down, and Anderson goes for a powerbomb, but Balor quickly counters, takes him down, and hits a double stomp. Anderson gets out of the ring, and Balor connects with a somersault senton, and Balor gets him into the ring and hits Sling Blade, followed by a vicious dropkick into the corner, and Balor follows that up with a coup de grace for the win. Your winner is Finn Balor. Now, you can see that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson were clearly pissed. I would have been pissed off too. You've got 2 great tag teams performing tonight. Actually, you had 3 great tag teams performing tonight. And they got used in singles matches. You had the Hardys out there. You had Sheamus and Cesaro out there. You had the Club out there. And they were all used in singles competition. How does that make sense? How does that inspire the tag team fans to tune into Raw? Because they're supposed to be, elevating the tag teams on Raw. I was told that the tag teams were being utilized better on Raw than on SmackDown. And I have to say that is complete fucking bullshit. Now, I know it was my co-host that said it, and I'd tell him straight to his face. Suck my dick if you think Raw is treating their tag teams any differently than what we're seeing on SmackDown. 1 week does not mean they are better at utilizing their roster than the next week. I call bullshit. Either way. Now, Alicia Fox and Noam Dar are out in the ring already, and Sasha Banks is Alicia Fox's opponent. Quick match, cruddy match. Don't really want to go into it, so I won't. Your winner of that match was Sasha Banks. After the match, though, Noam Dar gets in Banks' face after the match, so she slaps the taste out of his mouth, and it looked good. The guy went down to his fucking knees. He sold it very well. Now, Fox attacks her from behind and hits the scissor kick to put her down, and it looks like the feud between these two will continue. But as long as they're only getting 3-4 minutes to put on a match, I'm not fucking interested in it. What follows is Kalisto is backstage with Apollo Crews. They're talking about Apollo Crews being affiliated with Titus O'Neil, the Titus brand. I think Titus O'Neil needs to go back to plunging toilets in the arenas and making sure that those toilets are sparkling clean when he's done, because I detest seeing this guy on my television already. Detest it. I don't want to see this motherfucker on my TV. Now, Kalisto is shown trying to reason with Apollo Crews backstage, and he asks if he was him, or if it was him, who attacked Enzo Amore. Crews says he should know better than to think he would do anything of the sort, and Titus is helping his career. Now, Titus walks up and thinks Kalisto wants part of the Titus brand, but the Lucha Dragon shuts him down. O'Neal is obviously he takes offense to this. He thinks he's been disrespected. So he says tonight it will be Kalisto versus Crews, and he's going to pay for his disrespectful ways. I didn't realize that Titus O'Neal had booking privileges. I didn't know he had the power to book matches, but obviously he can. We had a very good promo from Goldust tonight. I liked it. It was a throwback to his original Goldust gimmick. I love the darker side of Goldust. He is a lot more intense. He is a lot more intimidating. He's not the quirky, insane, cross-dressing weirdo that we've come to know over the last, 15 years? Maybe not quite that long, but probably close. This is the Goldust that we used to see when he first debuted, when he had Marlena, when he was spewing, quotes from old movies and famous movies. This is the Goldust I want to see. It was the perfect promo to cut for him. He did it well. I'm glad to see him revert to his old Goldust gimmick. Like I said, it was the right way to go with him. Everyone was tired of seeing him with R-Truth. Everyone wants to see R-Truth disappear for a change. After the promo, we had Charlie Caruso backstage with Alexa Bliss. She mentioned she'll be facing Bayley at Extreme Rules in a kendo stick on a pole match. Footage is shown of Bliss hitting Bayley with a kendo stick last week on Raw, and photos are shown of the welts on Bayley's back. Now, Bliss says she doesn't feel bad. The sound of the stick hitting her flesh makes her salivate. If Bayley thought she was in pain last week, that was nothing. At Extreme Rules, she'll make sure her body is tattooed in welts. Bayley must be planning her revenge, but that won't happen. Bayley can't get extreme, and tonight she'll do to Mickie James what she's going to do to Bayley at Extreme Rules: turn her dreams into nightmares. I gotta say, Alexa Bliss can't get enough of her promos. She is on the right track when it comes to her promos. Her wrestling still needs a little bit of work. I'm not going to say she is the best women wrestler in WWE, but when it comes to promos, she is delivering the best promos that we've seen from most of the women on Raw or SmackDown. You've got Charlotte, who sounds robotic. You have Becky Lynch, who at times is very hard to understand. Her accent is very thick. I still think she needs work cutting her promos, because they don't come off they don't connect with the fans, I should say. That's the way I'm going to go with that one. Haven't really heard Mickie James cut a promo in a while, but the last ones that she did kind of sucked. Apollo Crews versus Kalisto. Another very quick match. Bell rings and Kalisto goes for a waistlock, and Crews powers him off. Kalisto kicks away at him before having a whip reversed, and Kalisto quickly takes him down with a head scissor that takes him out of the ring. Kalisto hits the ropes, but Crews gets in the ring and drop kicks him and gets a 2 count. Crews hits a nice delayed vertical suplex for a near fall, and Crews applies a front face lock, but Kalisto quickly fights out. Kalisto hits the ropes, but Crews takes him down with a step-up enziguri for another 2 count. O'Neal, for some reason, is yelling at the referee out on the floor, and Kalisto counters a spin-out powerbomb into a roll-up for another 2 count. O'Neal yells at Apollo Crews to finish Kalisto, basically distracted his own man. Kalisto counters and moves in and hits the Salida del Sol and captures the win over Apollo Crews. Like I said, very quick fucking match. Now, after the match, you've seen Titus O'Neil berating Apollo Crews for the loss. But all in all, it was his fuck up. Matt Hardy versus Sheamus was up next. Now, everyone keeps on going about the whole broken gimmick thing. I'm not going to discuss that tonight. I'm not going to discuss the whole broken Hardys. I'm not going to do any of that. But we've seen a lot of that come out in Matt Hardy during this match. He keeps on reverting to it. We all know the big issues that they're having with Impact and Anthem Sports. And he's making sure that people don't forget the whole broken universe and the broken gimmick. Now, the match, for the most part, wasn't too bad. I've seen better. It was a lot of back and forth. I like seeing that. And it just wasn't one of the better fought matches of the night. I expected a little bit more. I did. Let's see. Do I want to go as much as I went into writing everything down tonight? I said I wasn't going to do this anymore, and I did anyway. The match starts off with them circling and finally get a lockup. Sheamus powers him into the ropes, and they give a rough break. They lock up once again, and Hardy applies a side headlock. Sheamus tries to whip him off, but Hardy holds on, taking Sheamus to the ground. Sheamus elbows him and lifts him, but Hardy counters with a headlock takeover, and Sheamus fights up and whips him off before shoulder blocking him down. Sheamus takes him down with another headlock takeover. You know what? I really don't want to go too far into this match. There wasn't as much big things that went on. I'm going to go where I finished off after commercial break. So we come back from commercial break to see Sheamus hit an Irish Curse backbreaker for a 2 count. Sheamus puts him on top rope. Jeff Hardy gets on the apron and distracts Sheamus. Hardy kicks him back and hits a tornado DDT for a near fall. And Hardy fights back and slides out of a power slam before clotheslining him in the corner. Sheamus gets out of a bulldog, but Matt catches him with a side effect for another near fall. Hardy gets the delete chant going, but Sheamus fights back and knees him in the face. It looked like he was going for a brogue kick, but he decided to go for a knee instead. That's what it looked like to me. Hardy grabs the bottom rope before the count of 3, and Hardy avoids another brogue kick attempt and gets out of the ring. Now Jeff Hardy dives off the apron and clotheslines a Cesaro who's sneaking up on Matt Hardy. Looked like a sneak attack coming into effect. And Matt Hardy quickly hits Sheamus with Twist of Fate. Your winner, Matt Hardy. And this gives him the right to choose what kind of match they're going to have at Extreme Rules. Now, I was figuring they were going to probably go for a ladder match or a TLC style match. I said to my wife, I would rather see these guys face each other in the Hell in a Cell match. Now, we know that's not going to happen at an Extreme Rules match, but I was pleasantly surprised to be very close. Matt Hardy delivered the announcement in true broken fashion and stated that at Extreme Rules, the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships would be defended inside a steel cage match. I loved it. It was a good twist on things. I wasn't expecting it, but we got a little bit of something. So it isn't going to be just your ordinary TLC type match or ladder match like we've seen a dozen times before. It's actually going to be a tag team cage match. I can dig that. Austin Aries makes his way out to the ring, and it's announced that he will face Neville at Extreme Rules in a submission match for the Cruiserweight Championship. Is another Cruiserweight match. Wasn't too into it. Austin Aries versus Tony Nese. Of course, we had Neville ringside. Never know when he's going to get involved. But they circle the ring, and Aries turns his attention to Neville. Nese quickly attacks the knee, but Aries soon fights back and hits a diving elbow to the back of the head for a 1 count. Aries applies a front face lock, but Nese gets out. Nese runs into a drop toe hold, and Aries ties him up in a submission. And it was like a leg lock around the head while he's wrenching on the leg. It looked different. I've never seen anyone do that before, but, it was classified as a submission move. Nese fights out, but Aries rolls him up for a 2 count. Aries quickly goes for the last chancery, but Nese gets out of the ring. Aries hits a plancha before putting him back inside the ring, and Aries talks trash to Neville while he's outside. Nese clips the knee once again as Aries climbs into the ring, and Nese slowly works over Aries with chops on the back. Now Aries boots him back and goes to the second rope. Aries leaps, but Nese takes him out with a mid-air back elbow. Nese goes for a delayed vertical suplex, but Aries counters with Nese to the head and then slaps on a guillotine choke. Nese powers out, thinking he was going to escape, slams Aries down, basically stomach first, and Aries turns it into last chancery anyway, and Aries takes a win after Nese taps out. Not surprisingly, after the match, Neville attacks Tony Nese and slaps on the Ring of Saturn. Aries is at the stage and basically says, "Why don't you try doing that to me?" Now, we get up next, Alexa Bliss versus Mickie James. Another very short fucking match. I don't approve of this. They say this is the women's revolution, and so far I'm seeing that they're being hidden more and more and not really given time every week. Now, this is your second women's match of the night, but in total they maybe had 6 minutes together. They started off playing it. I told my daughter, it's like, it looks like they're playing merry-go-round, or Ring Around the Rosie. Just circling each other, grappling, circling, grappling, circling. And just basically waist lock after waist lock after waist lock. They finally lock up, and Bliss stomps Mickie James down in the corner. James comes back with some kicks and a pair of flying forearms. We see James hit a neck breaker for a 2 count. James connects with some cross faces and a running kick. And James elbows Alexa Bliss back and goes for a Hurricane Rana, but Bliss hits her with a huge right arm and takes her out with a DDT for the win. Alexa Bliss is your winner. Like I said, very short match. Nothing of any substance really happened here except for after the match. Now, Alexa Bliss is basically celebrating. She's holding her title up and basically showing off her gold to the fans. And you can see the devious look in her eyes. You know what she's going to do. She starts looking for that kendo stick. She finds it. She comes back into the ring. And Mickie James tastes the sting of a kendo stick. Something that probably hasn't been done to her for a very long time. Bayley quickly runs down to the ring, attacks Alexa Bliss, makes the save. Now, as she's holding the kendo stick and about to, or I should say, thinking about hitting Alexa Bliss with it, Alexa Bliss escapes. And once again, we see the weaker side of Bayley. It's going to keep on happening. Now, I suspect she'll finally get the courage to use the kendo stick at Extreme Rules. But, frankly, I'm not a Bayley fan. It just... Her promos suck. Her wrestling skills, not too bad most of the time. It's just she's acting too much the child, not enough the woman that she's supposed to be. And I'm in the same boat as Alexa Bliss here. She isn't woman enough to get extreme. I'm gonna take a drink here before I go into things, and I know I shouldn't, but I'm lighting up. You know, at first I told myself I shouldn't be smoking on my podcast. It doesn't look good on the show. It doesn't look good to people, but I'm like everyone else. I'm like everyone here watching. I'm like any normal person, especially if you smoke. I'm going to have a smoke when I feel like it. Main event of the night, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins team up to face Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt, and I have to say this was the most interesting match of the night. I was pleasantly impressed with the workmanship between Bray Wyatt and Samoa Joe. We know that Rollins and Reigns have worked together before. Now, they didn't really work well together tonight, but they still worked well enough. Now, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins argued at the start of the match who would actually start the match, who would start the match against Bray Wyatt. Reigns clearly wanted a shot at Bray Wyatt, but Seth Rollins won out and got the go-ahead to start the match. It was back and forth right through the match. We've seen Wyatt get thrown out a lot. We've seen Samoa Joe get thrown out a lot. We also seen Reigns get thrown out a lot out of the ring. I think it was more or less to give him breaks in between. Now, I'm not going to go through step by step of the match. I'm going to say what I'm going to say about the match. It was good back and forth. I didn't get to see as much as Samoa Joe as I wanted to in that ring. I expected him to be in there a lot more than we did see him, and we didn't. Now, I did like the one part Reigns was setting up for the Superman punch, and Wyatt turned it into that spider crab type walk, and the look on Roman's face, at least he's learning to start to sell emotion and moves. He's starting to sell, which I like seeing. Now, Wyatt tosses Reigns outside the ring, and Joe sends Reigns into the post. Joe tags in and punches Reigns at ringside before putting him back inside the ring. Kurt Angle is seen watching backstage. Joe applies a neck vice, and Reigns fights back, but Joe gets him in the corner and hits an overhead kick for a near fall. Wyatt tags back in and kicks Reigns for a few times. Wyatt punches the injured arm, trying to weaken him up a little bit more, and delivers an avalanche, basically an avalanche splash in the corner. Wyatt takes some time before covering for a 2 count. Wyatt then applies a chin lock. Reigns takes some time before fighting up, and Wyatt quickly throws him out of the ring. And then Joe attacks Reigns outside once again, and Reigns goes to throw him into the barricade, but Joe clips the ring post instead and rebounds and still ends up hitting the barricade as well. Let's see. Reigns goes to throw him into the barricade, but Joe accidentally sends him into the ring post, and Reigns fights him off and gets in the ring. Reigns then gets Wyatt out of the ring as well. Rollins and Joe are tagged in, and Seth hits a springboard clothesline before booting him and hitting a blockbuster. Rollins then takes Wyatt out with a plancha. Rollins gets in the ring and hits a sling blade on Joe. Rollins forearms him and knocks Wyatt away. Rollins then hits Wyatt and Joe with a suicide dive, and Rollins goes to the top rope and kicks Wyatt off the apron. Joe crotches him on the top rope. Wyatt and Joe go for a double team superplex, but Rollins fights them off and delivers a crossbody off the top rope. Now, Joe's right arm has a bright red welt on it. Not sure what that's from. I think it's when he hit the ring post. Reigns stops Sister Abigail and delivers a few punches to Joe. Rollins then kicks Joe. Joe avoids a Superman punch, and Reigns runs into Rollins. This causes a little dissent in the team of Rollins and Reigns. They begin to argue. Wyatt pulls Reigns out of the ring, and Joe then locks in the Coquina clutch, and Rollins passes out. Your winners, Samoa Joe versus Bray Wyatt. Like I said, it was the match of the night. I'm not going to shit on the match. It was what it was. I'm starting to look at things not as I'd like to see them. I'd like to see better matches, but I'm trying to give what we're seeing these days a better chance. Now, Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt go face-to-face in the ring. Kurt Angle is seen watching backstage, and Finn Balor walks up and tells him not to leave him out of the fun. Balor wants to face one of the guys in the ring next week, and Angle says Balor's request is denied because he'll be facing not one, but two of those opponents. It'll be Samoa Joe versus Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor in a triple threat match next week. Balor says that's music to his ears. As for Rollins and Reigns, they'll face each other in a singles match next week. And Angle says he is the greatest GM they have right now. Now that's it for the results and my review. I do have some news. This week, there is a new face coming to Pillar to Post channel. Now, he is going to be taking over my position on Shooting from the Hip. And now, if you are a friend of mine on Facebook, you might have heard the name. He used to run eFeds on Facebook. His name was The Nightmare. I simply know him as Sin. He will be taking over my spot during this whole fantasy wrestling league that me and Red Rainer are doing. So expect a new face coming very soon, every Thursday at 8 p.m. here on Pillar to Post. Now, if you enjoyed the show and you have not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. For those that stuck it out for the show, I do thank you very much. It is appreciated. I know not everyone's used to me doing these live streams. I'm still trying to get better, a little bit more used to it. Next week, or actually this week, I will be making sure that you are capable of calling in and asking questions. Doesn't matter which show I'm going to be running. I'm going to make sure that this show becomes more interactive now that the stream is seemingly working a lot better. Also, don't forget, tomorrow I cover SmackDown live right after the show begins. I will be doing another live podcast following. Also, NXT will be done live from now on as well. Thursday, I don't know exactly how it's going to be for me and Red Rainer. We're still having a little bit of issues with streaming together and capturing his frame when we are trying to do these shows together. So it might be audio. It might be just me with him on the phone. We will see. I'm not going to promise anything. I hate making promises, not being able to pull it through. Now, I'm waiting for this week to be over. I think I'll be healed up enough for my surgery, and I want to be back outside working on my son's car, shooting more footage of the Polara project. That will be coming a lot more this summer. Also tomorrow, I was going to do it tonight, but tomorrow I'm going to do the homemade wine taste test. I've been doing this for a while. I'm going to share my recipe with you, how to make cheap hooch, as well as make wine the proper way, and also make your mash for doing some moonshine. So, going to do all that tomorrow during the morning, and later on in the evening it's SmackDown Live, and there is news that I want to deliver tomorrow as well, stemming from the wrestling world. Talk of NWA news. We know that Billy Corgan recently bought the NWA rights and trademark and all that. So he's basically starting off from scratch. I want to talk a little bit about that, what I could see happening with it. Also, all the other news that's been out and about. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. Share the video out. Help other people reach this video. We all know YouTube is not working properly as of late. People are not getting notified of the show being out. Also, it does not help that I'm doing live stream and I haven't really announced it anywhere that I am. So please, do me a favor, share the videos out for me. Bring new people into the fold. I'm trying to build this channel up, and I do appreciate all the help from the viewers, the subscribers, and the fans of Pillar to Post. But, like I said, my name's Pete Wall. This was Pillar to Post, and it was your Raw report. Thank you for tuning in, and that is it for me tonight. You guys all have a good night. Make sure you get some good rest, and hopefully we get a great SmackDown show. I will be seeing you tomorrow. Good night.